I'm willing to hear them.
So what happened to this now?
Let's work together in increasing titling, something that's beneficial for the people. Madam Speaker, up to February of this financial year, we have already issued a total. This is up to February of this financial year. We have already issued 4,331 titles, which means approximately 10,000 Jamaicans over the last 2 years, who before now had no titles for their land, have received their titles. Madam Speaker, they now have a greater sense of ownership and prosperity from the seed that we have planted, which is the reform of titling in Jamaica. There are some other, the leader of the opposition, because there are some other things that need to be done. For example, how land is surveyed in Jamaica and the technology that is employed in surveying. And there really ought to be some bipartisan consensus on how this should be done. And I'm willing to share what our thoughts are. I'll send you a note on them. It's something that we could get done very quickly, and that would, rapidly increase the process. Madam Speaker, I just want it to be clear that we are not the government of Chaka Chaka. Chaka development. We want our place to look modern, streamlined, clean, resilient, transparent, aesthetically pleasing, robust and durable. But we also want our development to be equitable. So we are making reforms to ground ownership of property. Once people have ownership of property, they usually take better care of it, and we are making reforms to manage how people get access to ownership and how we develop our infrastructure. Madam Speaker, water. The discussion related to water cannot commence without an assessment of the drought. Jamaica experienced reduced rainfall from as early as October last year. The reduction has worsened since, and we have had in November 2022, 62% of our 30-year average rainfall. In December 2022, it declined to 47%, and in January 2023, it declined to 32% of our 30-year average rainfall. Madam Speaker, this is a serious problem. Indications from February data are that the trend continues. Madam Speaker, thank God for the showers of rains early today. So, Madam Speaker, against this backdrop, the Drought Management Committee proactively convened in December and briefed Cabinet in January of the worsening situation. Initial conservation steps were taken at the NWC and the NIC, and they started trucking water, and the municipal authorities also trucked water. The conditions have since persisted, and Madam Speaker, the government has made an initial allocation of $150 million, of which $30 million will go to the Ministry of Local Government to assist municipal authorities. $20 million will be for the purchase of household water tanks, and the remaining $100 million to enable MPs to respond to requests for trucking of water. Though the impact is being experienced nationally, the parishes of Clarendon, St. Thomas, Portland, St. Mary and Westmoreland have been the most affected. I'm pleased to report that the process has started, and the primary areas of focus are the worst affected communities in rural constituencies, which have been allocated an additional $1 million as an emergency response. And as I've said before, Madam Speaker, we are using the GIS data to classify the communities and direct the funding. Madam Speaker, the drought is having a devastating impact on our farmers, and the National Irrigation Commission is coordinating that response. Throughout the fiscal year, The NIC has invested approximately 90 million on drought mitigation efforts and has allocated a further 110 million to mobilize emergency support for farmers. This represents an initial emergency response of the government coming to the end of the financial year. If the situation for a stronger response arises, which it looks like it will, we will deal with it in the new financial year. Madam Speaker, the Cabinet will also review the reports of the Drought Management Committee and will soon determine if conservation orders should be issued. And conservation orders, Madam Speaker, under the law, the government can declare certain areas for conservation of water, which would mean you can't wash cars, water lawns, and so forth. We are watching the situation to see if we need to utilize those powers. Until then, Madam Speaker, I am repeating my pleadings with the citizens to conserve their use of the precious commodity. Fix leaks, report leaks, reduce washing of cars and watering of lawns, and do not leave faucets running. Madam Speaker, we are developing a better understanding of drought cycles in Jamaica and how to respond to them effectively. It should be noted that there have been droughts, Madam Speaker, before this, and the response has not been as effective as this. And Madam Speaker, we have been in drought for almost 3 months now. But Madam Speaker...
No, I'm home vegan.
You will notice that...
But I want to hear if he mentioned the
been so
cashless thing. I'm trying to hear if he mentioned it here.
So I just want to use this as an example for, you know, the part of gloom and doom that some...
Bless up yourself, my wonderful moderator, Mr. Vegan.
To point out to them that all is not bad.
I just want to hear.
You know, your government has made some strategic decisions and investments.
You know, we don't want to talk things when I know.
Much better, and you probably don't even recognize it. You know, we are in drought now for more than 2 months. But, you know, right across the corporate area, you know, we have not been affected that badly. And there's a reason why that is the case, and that is because the government made a massive $6 billion investment in putting in a new pipeline.
Oh, yeah?
Bringing water in from the Rio Corbin. And we didn't just lay the pipe and leave it. We connected the pipe. So our resilience, in other words, our ability to respond to a crisis has improved. So Jamaica is in a better situation today than it was 3 years ago.
Okay.
So, Madam Speaker, I am happy to report that in the upcoming financial year, the government will make available 10,000 polyethylene water tanks. To needs-assessed households across Jamaica, starting with a focus on the areas most affected by the drought. Households on path, households recommended by MPs and assessed by the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation will qualify for the tanks according to the rules of the program. All the tanks issued will be placed on our national GIS database.
Wow.
This will give us valuable information about household storage capacity and how to plan for the delivery of water to those tanks.
Very good.
Madam Speaker, a parallel project is to assist households to convert these tanks, where possible, into rainwater harvesting systems connected to their roof. The Heart NSD Trust will be tasked with developing a national service corps of trainee plumbers and future water engineers.
Well, they must listen to a little politics now and then. Get some insight. It's not always about being mixy. You must listen to what's going on in Jamaica. And listen to what he's saying.
This will be a 5-year program with the objective that every water vulnerable household must have storage and rainwater capabilities to withstand droughts and water service disruption.
Exactly.
So, Madam Speaker, we're going to procure these 10,000 tanks starting the next financial year. If you're on path, you can apply for it. MPs are going to be asked to make recommendations. We will send out a team to assess that people really need it, or there is a facility to actually connect the tank. And Madam Speaker, we will do this for the next 5 years.
Wow.
So that we will get 50,000 tanks to households across Jamaica.
You hear that? Wanna hear that? Wanna make sure wanna get to the water tank. Good. Keep the man at his word. So when election time come, wanna have evidence, proof, and so forth. He didn't keep his promise.
We will ask, as we have asked Hard Trust to develop a cadre of trainee plumbers and to train them in developing the skill of converting the rooftops into catchment areas.
You hear that? Okay. Want to know any plumbers?
So with the accelerating adverse effects of climate change, droughts are likely to recur with increasing frequency and severity. Early in the new fiscal year, we will table a ministry paper with guidelines for rainwater harvesting, which will support town planning efforts. As we mainstream and eventually move to make mandatory the practice of rainwater harvesting in driving water resilience. I'm also pleased to advise the country that the Water Resource Authority has completed Jamaica's Water Resource Master Plan, and I will be tabling it in the coming fiscal year.
I know this is too advanced for UNO.
Madam
I'm
Speaker,
sorry.
I want to talk a little bit about the NWC. During the last financial year, the NWC recorded significant achievements, both at the strategic and operational levels, resulting in a stronger, more robust utility able to better carry out its mandate. NWC's financial performance has shown a worthy turnaround, moving from a net loss of 2.13 billion in 2021-2022 financial year to a net profit to date of 2.73 billion as of January 2022-2023.
Wow.
Madam Speaker, this performance means that the NWC is now much less of a fiscal risk to the government. And again,
what's NWC?
Again, Madam Speaker, I want to place that in context, because
hey guys,
I've been in this house now for 26 years, and I recall several budgets that have been tabled, and one of the contentious items, well, it's not really contentious because we all had to agree with it, but we had to raise the question about the efficiency and management of the NWC, was that the government had to several times take over the debt of the NWC.
What's NWC?
Madam Speaker, we don't have to do that.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Vegan.
The NWC is, thanks to its board and its management executive, the NWC is operating with a higher level of efficiency.
Yeah, this is important.
Madam Speaker, over the last fiscal year, there has been a marked increase in the system coverage, reliability, and level of service, with several projects being completed and commissioned into service in 2022-2023, funded from the NWC's resources. Because just to be clear, Madam Speaker, when the NWC makes a profit, this is not a profit that is going to be distributed to private people. The profit is yours.
Thank you.
The people who will benefit from the increase in investment in your water supply.
Thank you. The profit is yours. I want to the people them.
So when the NWC says, look, we're going to do Barron Hill to Samuel Prospect pipeline replacement works in Trelawney, how is that funded? It's funded from the NWC's budget.
Exactly.
When they say we're going to do a new distribution network to serve persons in the new building area of Nain as part of the Essex Valley to Junction water supply system in St. Elizabeth, that's coming out of the profit and resources of the NWC. Efficiency of public sector entities pays a dividend to the citizen stakeholder.
All right. Economics. Good? Okay.
The NWC will replace aged pipelines to the Greater Black River area, including between Luana through Middle Quarters to New Holland, as well as from Sandy Ground into the town of Black River. I was there recently to open some of these investments. The NWC will do the extension of pipelines to supply the community of Mile Gully in Christiana. A new full supply scheme.
Very good. Look how
including
beautiful.
development of a new source pipeline
Wow.
and storage tank in the Mesa River, Bullhead Mountain, Douglas Castle communities, which straddles the border of Clarendon and St. Anne. That will be done.
You see, I don't know
The
Jamaica like you
extension
know.
of the Negril water supply system to serve Non-Pariel, Mount Airy, Retirement, Orange Hill, and Negril spots, Westmoreland. This will be done.
You hear that?
Probably is
These
has
are the
already
things.
started. It's done.
Okay.
You know, you're right, Madam
So the
Speaker.
Prime Minister is explaining what
These
he's
are
done.
already
I
done.
don't know. Oh yeah? Well, that's why you have to make him know or ask for him
So
cabinet.
they have done several storage tanks.
What happened to
improve
St. Anne's?
reliability
Perhaps they haven't
and
reached
reduce
there yet.
energy consumption at Fraser's Hill in St. Thomas, Liberty in St. Anne, Westgate in Montego Bay, Yorktown in Clarendon.
Liberty in St.
They have done
Anne.
quite a bit from their resources. Madam Speaker, these
My mother
projects have
comes from
increased the
St. Anne's.
capacity of the NWC to deliver water by upwards of 5 million gallons per day and will positively impact a population of approximately 200,000.
But you have to go find out,
These
Vegas, what's
projects
the
are in addition
situation.
to the previously mentioned $6 billion capacity upgrade in Kingston and St. Andrew with the installation of new major transmission lines along Mandela Highway, 6 miles, Spanish Town Road, Beeson Street, South Camp Road, and connecting.
These
along
are the
Palisades
topics
into
Una
Port
can
Royal. The people of Port Royal will be happy.
implement on
Madam Speaker,
when
we
it
have had
comes
a
to the
water
government.
problem for a very long time.
Good?
It is going to be corrected now, finally.
You hear that? Okay then.
In addition to the replacement of secondary transmission and distribution lines along Walton Park Road within Whitfield Town, and those were completed. Another major pipeline replacement will include the ferry to Rock Pond Forest Hills via Plantation Heights. Madam Speaker, projects to improve the quality and reliability of potable water supply have been implemented across the length
Okay, you
and
see,
breadth
it's
of
almost
Jamaica.
there,
I put up
Vegan.
a
He'll
graph
soon
now.
reach.
Madam Speaker, I don't know if persons watching will be able to see
He'll
it.
soon
But
reach.
the graphic that should shortly be displayed on the screen represents the geographic location of projects completed by the NWC in this fiscal year, which represents in excess of $4 billion of capital investment.
Wow.
Madam Speaker, what this is showing is, as you can see there, Madam Speaker, it's up now. What it is showing is the extensiveness, the spread of the projects.
You see
So
that?
the yellow pins are projects which we have commissioned, meaning that we had a ceremony and we did some publicity.
That's good.
around. But the green projects were completed and we didn't do too much PR around them. And you can see there are many.
Yes, a lot. That's good.
And we need to make the public aware of the work that the NWC is doing.
Okay.
I mean,
you
Madam
hear that?
Speaker, we're looking at 40 years of underinvestment or disinvestment.
Wow.
And it's not going to change overnight. So we have corrected the problem that caused the underinvestment. That problem was fiscal space and poor management of public resources.
True. I
We
agree.
went through a really difficult time. We went to the brink of bankruptcy as a
I
country.
agree.
We had a political consensus around fiscal discipline, and then we corrected that issue. And now, Madam Speaker, we are at the point where we are creating more fiscal space, which is why we're trying to pay down the debt quickly.
Me want to
that
hear
we
about the
have more
cashless
money
thing.
to spend on these issues that matter to the quality of life of the people. Which is why I'm just taken aback by the leader of the opposition's comment regarding bringing down the debt. I mean, we want to bring down the debt so that we can have more fiscal space to correct the 40 years of disinvestment. So the communities that don't have water now, the communities that don't have water now who are frustrated, and I understand the frustration.
Yeah, they're
and I'm
vegan.
upset with government. I would say that yes, you have a right to be upset. Your government, meaning
Yeah, they're vegan.
from 1962 until now, should not have allowed an economic situation to become entrenched,
Okay.
so that we weren't able to meet the level of investment to bring water to your community.
Okay. Corruption.
We have corrected that problem and we are making investments rapidly now. But here's the problem. Persons are impatient of it. And they don't trust that the government is going to do it. That's it. That's a real issue. I mean, and I can understand you wake up and you don't have water every day. You don't business about fiscal rule and all, and PBIA and public investment committee.
True.
You want the water.
True.
And so there is always an opportunity for political mischief in that.
True. True. Good point.
There is always an opportunity for those who are on the outside to say, oh, no. See, it's an uncaring government. They don't give you any water. Not putting into context that they had a long stretch and are also responsible for the lack of investment in water.
Okay. True.
We are correcting that. And so I urge the people of Jamaica, I understand. We are working very hard to manage the resources carefully so that I can come to Parliament and make all of these investments. As I said, I've been here, for a little while, and I cannot recall presentations on water. And this is not the first time I've done this. That it's going through investment by investment by investment in water.
Okay. All right. Okay, Andrew. Go ahead.
Madam Speaker,
You see, we do politics over here too on I'm a Rasta for Life, the National Board of Comments.
several other island-wide water supply upgrading and expansion projects
For
are
the
planned
people.
for 2023-2024. 21 projects with projected expenditure of about 2.5 billion will see NWC service being extended to new communities,
Remember to
including
press the like button
Essex Hall in St.
when
Andrews,
we leave.
Black River to Treasure Beach water supply improvement, St. Elizabeth, Hounslow water
They know I
supply,
hear
St. Elizabeth,
politics.
Dundalk water supply, Trelawney, Jericho well number 1 to Yuatan transmission main, St. Catherine, Juno Crescent well electromechanical and pipeline works, Clarendon, Jordan well number 1 to Agualta Vale to Highgate, St. Mary,
Highgate.
Magati
Big up
to
Highgate.
Newton water supply, St. Elizabeth, Minard's well to Brownstone pipeline, St. Anne, Morant Bay
I
to
love
Springwell
Highgate.
Station, St. Thomas, Mount Royal Booster Station, St. Catherine, Rock River water supply and dam, Clarendon, Rosemount to Discovery Bay water supply, St. Anne. In Savanna-Mar, the water supply upgrades for Westmoreland will be done. Santa Cruz bypass pipeline in St. Elizabeth, Wakefield to Bunkers Hill water supply, Trelawney.
That's the problem with Jamaican people, you know. They don't like
Spanish Road to
politics.
St. John's
They
Road
only
in
like
St.
the
Catherine.
hula
Some
when
of
it
these
comes to election time. But when it comes to the critical points of what needs to be done,
These
Jamaican
projects
people don't
will
like to
include
listen to
new
politics.
pipelines,
They think it's a
installation
different
of storage
world.
tanks,
Well, they
and
must get
replacement
used
of
to
beach
politics and
pumps.
hear what's going on,
Madam Speaker,
other than the
as a
mixiness.
policy of this administration, every new major
All of them
roadway
want to listen to a
construction
mixy,
or
mixy,
upgrade
mixy.
must have
When people
provisions
introduce
for water
little
mains,
nice things,
sewage,
you don't want
and
like on.
telecommunication.
I don't business.
This means that planning is joined up between NWA and NWC to ensure utility-grade water supply is available for existing and potential developments. The
Politics
South
is
Coast Highway
important.
Improvement Project is a perfect example. The people of St. Thomas will have some of the best roads in Jamaica
About time.
and will also have access to reliable utility-grade water supply. Plans are being finalized for works along East Kings House Road, Lady Musgrave Road, Arthurwind Drive, and Tom Redcombe Avenue in Kingston and St. Andrew, and Grange Lane and Brayton Road in St. Catherine for major water infrastructure upgrade in
I want
terms
to
of
hear the
coordination
cashless
with
thing.
the
I don't know
NWA.
what for ear.
Madam Speaker, we have been turning on the pipes in long-suffering communities along the length and breadth of Jamaica. There is no more fulfilling feeling than seeing the faces of citizens when these projects are.
Oh Lord. I hope they're not blocking me. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We're having a situation here. I think I'm being told to turn it off. Turn off. Oh Lord. Hold up. What should I do? Oh. You know what? They strike the channel. Okay. They're having some intermission. Oh, come on. I want to hear about the cashless thing.
Madam Speaker, we have been turning on the pipelines, I have said, in communities all across Jamaica, and there is no more fulfilling feeling than seeing the faces of citizens when these projects are complete. I have directed the NWC to pursue 45 small projects to install new systems or incorporate existing small local systems to extend coverage to communities which are presently inadequately served.
Very good.
It is expected that the associated expenditure of $200 million will have an impact on the lives and well-being of close to 40,000 persons. Madam Speaker, the government is investing in improved delivery of potable water, but there is acknowledgement that we must also invest in our interaction with the public. Several strategic initiatives are being pursued by the NWC, which will have a meaningful impact on the efficiency of its operations as well as customer service satisfaction. The NWC has ramped up its program to install 450,000 smart meters for customers across Jamaica. For far too long, there has been a trust deficit between NWC and its customers, and these electronic meters will provide a more accurate registering of the actual household consumption.
Oh,
In addition,
electronic
the NWC
meters,
is pursuing
guys.
technology
Wow.
which will allow for the remote reading of meters as well as the automation of alerts to consumers and customers whenever substantial consumption variances occur. Already, 190,000 of these meters have been installed island-wide, and the remaining 260,000 will be in place within 3 years, thereby covering all of NWC's customer base. Madam Speaker, the NWC has moved to consolidate its customer communication.
So wait, they're gonna measure the
by
water.
first establishing
I
its
don't
own
understand.
in-house contact center and linking this to its control center. It is projected that in 2 years, the NWC will have concluded the build-out of its supervisory control and data acquisition system, which will allow two-way communication between the control center and the facilities in the field.
Uh-oh.
Madam Speaker, the NWC has developed and is presently carrying out final testing of its mobile app, which will provide account status, bill payment, connection,
I
and
knew it.
reconnection application, reports, and notifications. Madam Speaker, I want to spend a little time talking about
so
the
there's a
results
there's- oh.
of the non-revenue water reduction and control programs recently completed in the KSA, that is the Kingston and St. Andrew
So
area.
do you guys have to pay for water now?
The level of physical leaks and consumer
Is
waste
water
of
free in
water have
Jamaica?
reduced from 26.4 to 15.4
I don't understand.
million gallons daily, a 42% reduction from 2015 until now. Madam Speaker, in Portmore, the project is now in its second year and has already achieved savings of 1.6 million gallons of water daily, as well as a 30% reduction in energy conservation. So, Madam Speaker, in all, we are saving 7 million gallons of water daily just from correcting and detecting leaks.
Well, that's true too. Yes.
We must translate the success we have had in the KSA and Portmore to the rest of the island. I'm pleased that the World Bank has sponsored, through its Foundation for Competitiveness and Growth, a consultant to prepare the design of the proposed non-revenue water performance-based contract for an island-wide development of the non-revenue water.
We want to hear about the cashless thing.
The project is estimated to cost $303 million over 15 years.
Wow.
Madam Speaker, energy use at the NWC. The NWC is the largest single user of electricity in the island, with its 24-hour pumping and purification systems. During the global energy shocks of 2022, the NWC saw months with energy bills surpassing 1 billion Jamaican dollars. For this reason, I was happy to launch a public-private partnership project which will build a floating photovoltaic system at the Mona Reservoir. This project will result in an investment of over US $68 million.
Okay, Boo-boo.
It will generate
no props, fake. Thank you for joining me, sweetheart, my wonderful moderator. Thank you, darling. I'll see you tomorrow.
Over $1 billion annually. The project has completed, and you're seeing pictures of it now, the project has completed its testing phase and will start full build out in May.
I hope he talks about the cashless thing. God, I hope so.
Madam Speaker, in the coming fiscal year, the NWC will spend in excess of $900 million to ensure more efficient pumping operations while deploying more renewable energy within its operation. So the NWC, Madam Speaker, will be changing out some of its old pumps and putting in more efficient pumps to reduce their operating costs. So, Madam Speaker, when we say that the NWC is making a profit, immediately in the minds of the consumer, there is a thought that the NWC is charging more. That's not necessarily the case. What is happening is that the NWC is managing down its expenses relative to the revenues that it would normally collect. So, Madam Speaker, I want to assure the nation that this government is managing public bodies like the NWC to ensure that they don't become what the Minister of Finance calls a fiscal risk. And people may not understand what that is. We are managing that so that there is no risk of you, the taxpayer, having to pay more tax to be able to pay for the poor management of those things. Madam Speaker, politically we don't get any credit for that. Politically, the man on the street overlooks that, and it doesn't factor in the voting algorithm and equation that they apply in making their decisions. But that is largely because, Madam Speaker, we haven't taken the time to explain what good government and good governance is. For some, they would want the people to think that good government and good governance is what you give away. But we need the average Jamaican to understand that good governance is how we ensure that your public resources, your public assets, your public institutions are properly run so that they don't become a burden on you.
Okay. Can we talk about the cashless thing
Madam
now?
Speaker, that is not a dialogue, that's not a discourse that is on our radio stations. We're being drawn into all kinds of what I call nonsense. We're being flooded and being fed with information that just really amounts to gossip, which doesn't edify, doesn't help us to build the Jamaica and the country that we want. But Madam Speaker, this government is not in any way deterred or distracted by that. This government has remained focused because, Madam Speaker, that is why we have no fear when we have to come to the Parliament to give an account of what we have done. Madam Speaker, I want to talk a little bit about wastewater. The expansion and development of Jamaica's towns and cities requires investments in public sewage networks and wastewater management. The predominance and concentration of household sewage systems definitely poses a threat to underground water. And when we now have to be managing and conserving water, we will have to make investments in wastewater management. The NWC is now pursuing strategic investments in new and expanded sanitary sewage systems to facilitate the development of populated areas such as Falmouth, Negril, downtown Kingston, St. Andrew, and southeast St. Catherine, Portmore. Comprehensive policy is being formulated to guide the master planning, funding, and implementation of the public sewer utility. The build-out over time will incorporate private developers in sharing the cost of the public sewer network. A comprehensive series of projects to sewer sections of St. Andrew is already underway to both replace aged systems and increase coverage. A case in point is the Mona housing development, which was built in 1958, 65 years ago. Then sewage was not a consideration. The old absorption pits and septic systems have reached the end of their useful lives. They've reached the end of useful life long ago.
Is that true?
And many of these are collapsing. So, Madam Speaker, the NWC is now building out a sewer network for Mona and surrounding communities.
Is that true? Whoever lives there?
Other communities are also being sewered, and sewer mains have been laid in parts of Olympic Gardens and
Is that
Bayfront
true?
Road and Q Road and several other areas. So the NWC is, as it is building out its potable water utility network, we are also building out the wastewater network.
Because it's called
In addition to laying
accountability.
new sewer mains, over the next 3 years, the NWC will be upgrading 15 wastewater treatment plants to ensure safe public health conditions and eliminate any negative impact on the environment. These plants are located in St. Thomas, Portland, St. Mary's, St. Catherine, and Clarendon. Ultimately, many of these standalone sewage systems have to be rationalized and connected where possible. This underpins the urgent need to double the capacity and upgrade of Soapberry. Madam Speaker, Soapberry was constructed under the then government, which is now the opposition. And since then, Madam Speaker, the capacity of Soapberry has been totally used up. So more investment is needed to double the capacity of Soapberry. So, Madam Speaker, in order to secure the investment needed to do the upgrade, the Soapberry facility will be divested, and Cabinet recently approved KPMG as a transaction manager to guide the commercial development of the project. We expect that investments to start the expansion will begin in 2024.
So he's getting investors.
Madam Speaker, I want to talk about the Greater Mandible Water Supply Improvement. The Greater Mandible Water Supply Improvement is a major capital project aimed at effecting substantial improvements in the service levels in communities extending from Pepper in St. Elizabeth to the full limits of the town of Mandeville. The works being implemented include the sourcing of the development of new water sources, new transmission mains, electromechanical pumping equipment,
So
and
these are
associated
investments.
storage tanks. Implementation
difference.
is scheduled for completion in 2024, and this is going to be done at a capital cost so far to date of $680 million. The total cost, Madam Speaker, is 3 billion Jamaican dollars.
Wow.
Madam Speaker, I mentioned Mandeville especially because Mandeville does not have many dedicated sources for water. And for years, Mandeville has suffered. And so, Madam Speaker, we want to assure the people of Mandeville that we don't forget you, and we are making the investment.
As he drinks a glass of water. Oh, God.
Madam Speaker, the long-awaited Content Water Project, which was proposed as far back as 2009 to provide water to the corporate area from the Rio Cobre, has finally been settled commercially under a PPP framework. The water purchase agreement was signed in November 2022 for the establishment of a water treatment plant in Content in St. Catherine to provide 15 million imperial gallons of water per day. Construction is expected to begin in June 2023 and will last for 24 months. This arrangement will fundamentally improve the supply stability to Kingston and St. Andrew and Portmore and support growing housing and commercial developments.
How beautiful.
Madam Speaker, this government is moving from vision to reality. As you can see, there are just so many projects, so many plans that have been spoken about, talked about, never got done, but this government is doing it. Last year, I advised the country that the government is considering a major integrated water and energy project utilizing the well-established pumped hydro storage and hydroelectricity concept. This would solve both water and energy challenges and make us truly a green country. One element of the project is not new and has been studied several times over with many detailed reports. The Mahogany Vale Dam was first proposed in 1967.
Wow.
In a report as a possible solution for augmenting the potable water supply for the city of Kingston. The project was later abandoned in favor of, well, it was later abandoned in the 1970s in favor of a less capital intensive but lower yielding Rio Cobre water supply scheme. In 1983, the Yallas pipeline project was started as the first phase of the Blue Mountain water supply project, which incorporates the Mahogany Vale Dam. And this, Madam Speaker, would have included the building of the dam, creating tunnels to bring the water through the mountain, and the building of a hydroelectric station. The Yallas pipeline was completed in 1986 and now brings water from Yallas and the Negro Rivers in St. Thomas to the Mona Reservoir to meet the needs of parts of Kingston and St. Andrew. I give that history, Madam Speaker, to show how Jamaica continues to benefit from these investments made decades ago. I mean, well, that was done under JLP government, but the important point is, Madam Speaker, the important point that has to be made about investment. You have to do the investment now. Don't wait. Because look at it now, Madam Speaker. What it would have cost if we had built it then, Madam Speaker, it is a fraction of what it costs to build it now.
Oh, because it's an investment. Okay.
But look at the benefit, Madam Speaker. The Mona Dam was built, you know, by the colonial government. And to this day, we are still benefiting from the Mona Dam. We depend on it for sections of the corporate area. What we have done since is to put the Yallas pipeline in it so that it can continue to serve us. But the truth is the Mona Reservoir. But the truth is that we still have water problems. So we shouldn't delay and put off the investments.
True.
We should get the investments done.
Yeah.
Madam Speaker, in 2010, the project, there was an attempt to resurrect the project through Jampro to attract investors. It didn't take off. Madam Speaker, as Prime Minister, I find myself taking on so many national building projects that should have been done years ago. But for whatever reason, successive governments just could not find the wherewithal to execute. The need for such a project, that is the Mahogany Vale Dam and hydroelectric station, that is going to bring water from the Blue Mountains through the valley into Kingston. But not just for Kingston. Madam Speaker, based on the developments that we have planned now, doing the road through St. Thomas and into Portland, we need to have water for those areas as well. So the need for the project is beyond question. We must get it done. So, Madam Speaker, further on I will report on the progress that is being made in Portland and St. Thomas. And that will show the need for the project. Madam Speaker, I am declaring that this government intends to pursue the development of the Mahogany Vale project as a national priority. The financial and technical analyses will require development partner assistance, and we have started to pursue various avenues of support, including climate change financing. Shortly, Madam Speaker, I will announce an enterprise team to manage the project. Madam Speaker, this administration, with the support of the United Kingdom, has undertaken the biggest spend in Jamaica's history on irrigation, investing billions in the Essex Valley Irrigation Scheme to serve parts of St. Elizabeth, Manchester, and the Southern Plains Irrigation Scheme, which will serve farmers in parts of Clarendon and St. Catherine. The projects experienced challenges during COVID, but I'm happy to report that the project is now moving apace. Madam Speaker, there is another transformational irrigation project that we have spoken about for decades, but as a country, we just didn't get it done. The plains of St. Elizabeth are among the most fertile in our country. Farmers, despite not having irrigation, have proven to be the best in the world in using very low water supply.
Don't forget to like the live when you exit. Don't forget to like the live when you exit.
Through the support of the French government,
don't forget to like the live, guys.
We undertook a feasibility study to take water from the Black River and use it to irrigate the plains.
I want to hear about the cashless thing if he talks about it.
Not only is the project feasible, but the team of French engineers have already designed.
But it's also good to know what is being done, because you can hold, the government accountable when you hear
Madam
things.
Speaker, I'm announcing today
that hasn't been done.
We will be moving ahead with the project and designing the Pedro Plains Irrigation Scheme as a national strategic project.
Okay, Pedro Plains Irrigation Scheme. I don't know where that is, but that's a major project, so you need to listen for that if it gets done by the government under Andrew Holiness.
So that it is in the records, Madam Speaker, we will be declaring the Pedro Plains Irrigation Scheme a national strategic project. We will bring water to hundreds of farmers and communities, including Flagaman, Greenfield, Southfield, and Top Hill. It is estimated that the project will cost approximately 200 million United States dollars and will be financed through a combination of our own resources, grants, and loan funding from the French government. For decades, farmers have been clamoring for these irrigation systems, and we are getting it done.
The French government? What's going on here?
Everyone wants to hear about roads. Last year, I would have highlighted the stages of key road infrastructure projects. This year, I will report progress on these and expand on the vision for more seamless and connected roads in Jamaica. The National Road Operating and Constructing Company Limited, NROC, is currently executing two major projects. The first is the South Coast Highway Improvement Project, Part A, from Maypen to Williamsfield, constructing approximately 23 kilometers of a 4-lane highway and upgrading of approximately 5 kilometers of the existing Melrose Hill bypass to a 4-lane rural arterially divided highway. This is now 90% complete and will be open in August 2023. Madam Speaker, if you drive like some people, you could get from Kingston to Mandeville in 50 minutes.
You can have lunch.
But you know, drive safely.
Wow, that's good. Look at that. Wow.
Madam Speaker, I just want to be clear on this project.
Jamaica.
After the construction is finalized, the highway will be the property of the government of Jamaica.
Yeah, you better. Better not belong to nobody else.
It will be a tolled highway, and therefore the government will negotiate a concession for its operation. But the government owns the highway.
So you're going to be paying tolls. You're going to be paying toll fares.
The second major project, Madam Speaker, is the much anticipated Montego Bay Perimeter Road, where we broke ground on the 16th of July 2022. This US $274 million project includes the Perimeter Road, Long Hill Bypass, upgrades of West Green Avenue and Barnett Street, and a drainage study of this city of Montego Bay. The design build contract speaks to a 1-year design period with a scheduled start of July 2023. Many of the activities done so far include pre-construction work, which is surveying, soil testing, designs, and the provisions to create a batching plant and the acquisition of lands. And they have started the bridge. So, Madam Speaker, citizens will see full construction ramping up in the first quarter of 2023-2024. That is in the next fiscal year coming. Madam Speaker, let me also highlight 3 current projects.
Let me hear. Is he going to talk about it now?
Madam Speaker, my administration plans to extend the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project further westward from Williamsfield in Manchester, where the current project ends, to Hodges in St. Elizabeth.
Okay, what does that mean?
The scope of the project includes improvement of the existing road infrastructure as well as bypasses for Mandeville. Very important. So, a bypass for Mandeville, a bypass for Spurtree, a connection close to Junction, Southfield, heading into Black River. So we are doing it, Madam Speaker. The idea is not to divert traffic away from the town. Because what people don't understand is that if you can move quickly between towns without interruption, you increase commerce, you increase trade, you increase business.
True.
So
But this
is now being planned.
It's not
and
free.
Madam Speaker, I will give an update during the year, the next financial year, as to where we are with that. Madam Speaker, 2 toll roads exist in Jamaica. The North-South Highway and the East-West Highway, which includes a Portmore access via the causeway. Presently, users on either toll road are forced to exit onto the Mandela Highway if they intend to access the other toll road. This is inefficient, and we will resolve this with the design and construction of a full grade separated interchange between the North-South Highway and the East-West Highway in the Caymanas vicinity. And Madam Speaker, Pre-construction work will begin in the next financial year. This is just one step in the long-term plan to build out a fully connected road network across Jamaica that allows users to move seamlessly across the island. Madam Speaker, based on recent traffic numbers along the North Coast Highway, several areas have already exceeded 15,000 vehicles per day threshold, which was contemplated in the original traffic studies, resulting in growing congestion. Sea Castles to Greenwood has the largest capacity deficit, and improving this corridor to a 4-lane corridor would allow an increase in the daily capacity to approximately 39,800 vehicles. Fortunately, this corridor does not have any major geometric constraints to improving the existing alignment. The Discovery Bay to Salem segment, however, has several entry and exit points and encroachments and limited reservations that constrains capacity and the potential for widening the corridor to 4 lanes. Therefore, a bypass option is being considered for this area. And this bypass would, of course, go around Salem to Miami Bay section. And Madam Speaker, that would increase efficiency in the area. Madam Speaker, I want to say quickly on the South Coast Road Improvement Project Part D, the eastern section, which is under the operations of the NWA. Madam Speaker, our work on the South Coast Highway in the eastern section of the island is being undertaken through the NWA, and it is at an advanced stage. This flagship project is much more than just a few roads. We are widening and realigning the existing road to make it safer and more efficient. We are upgrading the drainage, building new bridges, installing new water and sewer lines, installing ducts and fiber optic cables, support our national broadband communication initiative, and building sidewalks, installing streetlights and markings, and putting up signs to keep everyone safe on the road. The eastern end of the project includes a 17.4 kilometer 4-lane highway from Harborview to Yallas Bridge, and this is 87% complete, with practical completion scheduled for April 2023, and the rehabilitation and resurfacing of 123.65 kilometers of existing roads from Yallas Bridge to Port Antonio and Morant Bay to Cedar Valley, broken down into 15 sub-packages. 10 of these packages are currently underway and at various stages of completion, and are expected to be completed in December 2023. The final 5 packages are scheduled for commencement in 2023-2024 and are expected to be completed by March 2025. Madam Speaker, the plight of our citizens who have endured significant disruption to their daily lives due to these works is not lost on us. That is why your government continues to examine the progress being made there carefully, to ensure that the changes and the works that are being executed, Madam Speaker, don't negatively impact and affect the citizens. Steady progress is being made, and already communities are benefiting from the improvement in the infrastructure. This is the largest public investment in the parish of St. Thomas. And Madam Speaker, I
hear what your government is doing, people.
This is the largest public investment in the parish of St. Thomas since 1865.
Listen up to what your government is doing in each parish. You vote for these people and you don't know what they're doing?
Madam Speaker, it's the largest public investment since the rebellion. And Madam Speaker, the history of the Morant Bay Rebellion is not adequately told in Jamaica. it's not, we don't understand the impact of that rebellion on establishing modern Jamaica. Madam Speaker, St. Thomas as a parish suffered because of that rebellion. In other words, because the colonial government, they made investments in other parishes, but they just didn't make the necessary investments in St. Thomas. And so St. Thomas was always, at least for the last 100 years, Madam Speaker, a neglected parish. And what we have done is to channel and direct investment in that parish to correct the historical that was done to that parish.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Madam Speaker, that investment,
I never knew that.
Madam Speaker, that investment comes with some dislocation. I don't know how you're going to do investments like those where there were, really no infrastructure really before. We are putting in the infrastructure. No, I'm not saying that, Madam Speaker, greater care could not be taken. I'm not satisfied that the best efforts are being made. And I've certainly always sought to ensure that the contractors who are working on that project respect the citizens and respect their right to a healthy and clean and nuisance-free environment. But, Madam Speaker, there are those who are not aware of the historical context behind the government's investment. And what they see is the inconvenience. What they are likely to pay attention to is the mischief for political purposes and lose sight of the monumental, game-changing, transformational.
Exactly. They lose sight because they're fast in other people's business.
You will have some months of disruption, but Madam Speaker, you're going to have a lifetime of development.
There you go. Simple.
Madam Speaker, the Chase Fund. And since I'm talking about Morant Bay, well, I'm going to leave this section a little bit. Let me go to this.
Talk about the cashless thing, man.
Last year we announced a special capex program of $13 billion, targeting 6 strategic high-traffic corridors.
Oh, God.
And, Madam Speaker, these projects will begin in earnest in the fiscal year coming. So we are going to dualize Grange Lane, Municipal Boulevard to Madrid Avenue, and that is at the contract stage. Arthurwind Drive to Tom Redcombe Avenue to Camp Road.
No,
that's in the final design stages.
Oh, okay.
East King's House Road and Lady Musgrave Road, to Barbican Road, to Hope Road, to Trafalgar Road. Those are in final design stages.
Okay.
We're going to do Brayton Road and Helsha Main Road. Now go ahead to East Mid Street. Final design stages. We're doing the Sandy Gully Bridge on Washington Boulevard and Pembroke Hall to Kenhill Drive. Final designs. And we're doing a new access to the Portmore. So there's a new Portmore access to the Mandela entry into Portmore. We're going to do a bridge over the Rio Cobre. And Madam Speaker, we are in the final design phases for that. So Madam Speaker, those projects, you will see them materialize in the coming financial year.
And if you don't see them materialize, guys, in the upcoming financial year, you know what to do.
$6.9 billion to address road and bridge repairs and maintenance and other costs dealing with civil infrastructure. This is clearly not enough to deal with all the roads in Jamaica which are in need of attention. We have made excellent progress on dealing with our highways and our main thoroughfares. However, it is now time to address our secondary roads and local roads.
The Bean should have did that.
The Minister of Finance announced the shared prosperity through accelerated improvement to our road network, the SPARK program. Well, you tell me how you get SPARK out of that. But the SPARK network program for roads, where we will allocate 40 billion Jamaican dollars to repairing approximately 2,000 secondary and local roads over the next 3 years.
You need to. The roads are terrible in Jamaica.
This is transformation.
Look how long since I was in Jamaica, and it's just now on the plate. Well, I never see so much pothole in all my life. Big.
By any standard, repairing 2,000 roads is significant and requires dedicated and effective management to undertake the exercise.
You need to go to St. Mary's,
It is in the scale of the project where economies and efficiency will make the planning, procurement, and contracting less onerous and time-consuming, and implementation and materials per kilometer of road less expensive. Yeah. So it's quite counterintuitive. But if you think about it, doing the roads in small batches increases the cost of doing the road. So if we make a huge project out of it, concentrate good management, get better prices at the material level, have a larger procurement process going, you can get more roads done for a lower price and more efficiently.
Well, when I was in Igate, I never see so much pothole in all my life.
I'm satisfied that
the road them terrible up there, so I don't know how people manage.
Properly. The challenge is always in the implementation.
St. Mary's, no
that
sir.
Is where, and so, Madam Speaker, I know that a lot of supervisors.
So if you don't fix the roads then from then,
level,
then you're talking
have
pure
to pay to this project
crap
to ensure that it delivers what it promises. So, Madam,
look how long.
So the NWA has already begun scoping the project and setting criteria for prioritization and selection of the roads to be repaired. Madam Speaker, we do not want to waste resources excavating newly paved roads to repair water or utilities.
Yeah.
So we'll be using our GIS capabilities, that which are not pose an issue for the overlay of the roads. Where water mains are old or in need of upgrade, then those roads would still be treated under this program. However, they would be placed in a different implementation stream since they would require more complex engineering and materials. Roads where no additional works are required, other than sidewalks and small retaining structures, would be the first to be selected for milling and overlay. This would immediately address many community roads, parochial roads, and secondary roads where the road surface has been scoured or filled with potholes, but the subsurface and drain is generally intact.
But this is 5 years now, and you haven't done anything. How long have you been in office?
To be clear, Madam Speaker, we're
4 years?
also
I don't get it.
stratifying the roads. So if a road will need repair to a water main or some other utility there, a sewer, then that road will be placed in a different bucket and treated with differently, because that has to be planned out. But if a road only requires overlay, putting in sidewalk, stoplight, road furniture, those kinds of small retaining infrastructure, then those are put in the immediate address bucket. So you address those immediately, and you go to contract with those immediately. And that's how we intend to start the project, so that we have no waste in the project. So, Madam Speaker, the program will also focus on resurfacing some white roads. These are roads where the asphalt has lost friction due to the type of aggregate that was used in the road and the polishing effect of traffic over time. Improvement of intersections to include widening, installation of jersey barriers, signage and signaling would be done where the NWA deems necessary.
Yeah, because y'all drive crazy in
public
Jamaica.
thoroughfares, meaning roads owned by the NWA and on the NWA register, or a municipal authority, being it's on the municipal authority's register, will be repaired under this program. Housing scheme roads will be considered on a case-by-case basis. See, community roads will be classified as local roads.
Local roads, yeah, local.
Madam Speaker, MPs have been lobbying for a program like this for a long time.
What you telling?
It is finally being developed, and they will play a key role in engaging and consulting with their constituents in making recommendations on the roads to be repaired and to order the priority in which they are done. Further criteria will be applied to ensure value for money. The recommended roads must justify the expenditure and order of priority based on the volume of traffic they carry, the interconnectivity they facilitate, and the number of residences, business, and public facilities along the road.
Go to
Madam
IGET.
Speaker, we intend to finalize the policy framework and start the process of selection by June of this year. So MPs, get ready, get your list together.
We'll have 2 to 3 weeks. Go to IGET, St. Mary's first. Good.
Madam Speaker, roads that are assessed, which will only be in need of overlay and other minor works, will be prepared for immediate procurement. Madam Speaker, let me just say quickly about bridges. This year, the NWA plans to construct 3 new bridges at a cost of
guys,
$1
when you
billion.
exit or when you feel
The
like
Troy Bridge
you've
in
got a lot
Trelawney,
of, just remember to press the
Craig
like
Mill
button,
Bridge in
please.
Portland,
Thank you.
and the Spring Village Bridge in St. Catherine. The NWA has
have to
already
remember to
completed
say
the
that.
designs and costs of these bridges and is now going through the public investment justification
A little
phase
politics
before
for the
going to
night.
procurement. You're
Talk
gonna get
about the
bridge, Madam
cashless
Speaker.
thing, man.
No, the member from Northwestern Manchester isn't here. But Madam Speaker, it is an onerous process. A part of the good governance that pays dividends is that we go through a very rigorous public investment process. And I think that process is very useful, but it needs to be reviewed for, provisions for emergencies, which we would consider the Troy Bridge to be. The process to defend it when it is obvious that this is an emergency can be very onerous and costly. But Madam Speaker, we abide by the rules we set until we can look at it and make the necessary changes. Madam Speaker, I could not speak about roads without emphasizing an efficient and orderly public transportation sector. Because, Madam Speaker, this is critical for the development of any well-run society.
Yeah, but nobody don't take the buses in Jamaica.
And it is also essential for the convenience and quality of life of Jamaican citizens. Our vision is to have a professional transportation sector that is operated with pride, where the investors and operators are the strongest advocates for order and high quality service from their industry.
I rode on the bus in Jamaica.
I know
It's beautiful.
that there are a significant number of transport operators who view public transport as a formal business. However, too many operators see it as a hustle. We want to assist our transport operators to create a real industry out of public transportation. I have heard the voices of our public transportation operators, and I am convinced that there is a critical mass that share this vision to develop a first world public transportation sector. Madam Speaker, the transport sector is multifaceted and made up of a number of stakeholders, including drivers, owners, investors, and owners who are also drivers. Their concerns are varied and include the rising expenses that they are faced with, the need to access affordable financing to retool, and issues relating to the appropriate places to stop, disembark, and take on passengers.
Yeah.
Some have expressed to me that they have no special facility for health insurance or pensions. While the transport sector is largely a private operation, there is a significant public service they provide for this government, for the people.
Oh, it's a
And the
private
government is
sector.
willing to work with our transport operators in meaningful ways to address their issues and improve their conditions. In the coming week, I will be arranging consultations with the various taxi groups to further explore their concerns. Madam Speaker, to support the public transportation sector, the government will be implementing the following. 1. Cutting of renewal fees for route taxis, hackney carriage, rural stage carriage, and contract carriers of public passenger vehicles by 30% for a period of 1 year. Madam Speaker, this could amount to as much as a $5,000 reduction in some fees. This incentive is given to allow operators to regularize themselves and avoid tickets. During this period, the Ministry of Transport and Mining has been directed to establish and update their database of operators.
Wow.
Madam Speaker, it's important that while over 9,000 operators were able to benefit from the CARE program to the tune of approximately $300 million, too many operators were not able to access the program for a variety of reasons, including lack of registration or incomplete registration with the relevant authority at the relevant time. So, Madam Speaker, when we opened up the special care package to assist transport operators with their fuel bills, many of them could not access the benefit simply because they were not properly registered.
They didn't register.
And some
You
of
see
them may
that?
have been properly registered, but the database did not correctly reflect their registration.
Wow.
And so the automated system that gave access to the care package would have bounced those applications. So there are many disgruntled taxi operators who didn't get the opportunity to benefit from the care program. So giving this discount on their renewal fees is an incentive now for them to properly regularize themselves. And then, Madam Speaker, in the future, myself and the Minister of Finance will look at the fiscal space created by paying down the debt and see how much of that we can assist the taxmen. The second thing we will do, is to improve the quality of service, behavior, and awareness of our drivers. We will be introducing a short course for all public passenger vehicle drivers to be administered by the Island Traffic Authority in collaboration with the Heart Trust NSTA. Drivers will be invited to register for the course focus on the new Road Traffic Act, defensive and courteous driving techniques, maintenance and sanitation procedures for vehicles, assistance with establishing bank accounts and digital wallets, and the use of digital payment technologies. Madam Speaker,
you hear that? Digital payments.
Madam Speaker,
In Jamaica.
all drivers who register and complete the course will be formally certified, and they will receive a $25,000 grant. From the government of Jamaica. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, we care about our taxi drivers. Madam Speaker, we want to see the taxi industry grow and develop. But Madam Speaker, we can't deal with chaka-chaka. We have to have order in the system. Everybody benefits when the system is orderly. Madam Speaker, specifically for motorcycle riders, we will be making 10,000 helmets available free of cost. Madam Speaker, there is a short training course that motorcycle drivers go through when they are getting licensed. The helmets will be available.
Information, guys, information.
But Madam Speaker, you know,
from your government.
Someone gets a ticket
in Jamaica
for not wearing the helmet. And when they are prosecuted, and if they decide not to pay and go before the courts, they will get the helmet there as well. Madam Speaker, if they get the ticket and they say, you know, officer, I just couldn't afford it, we'll get the helmet to you. The idea, Madam Speaker, is to save lives. And where is this coming from now? How are we going to pay for this? Madam Speaker, the fines that we have collected, we are going to use it to ensure that we improve the safety of the road users. Last year, the government announced a special loan window for transport operators to refleet or upgrade their vehicles. Madam Speaker, it wasn't taken up. Again, you know, the taxi industry, Madam Speaker, the informal nature of some of the arrangements makes it difficult when they have to interface with formal banking systems. So, Madam Speaker, we're recrafting the loan. We're looking at the parameters for access, but we're adding a new parameter. And what we're saying is, Madam Speaker, we will give preferential terms for persons who would like to change their current vehicle or motorcycle to an electric vehicle or motorcycle. Madam Speaker, our preliminary analysis is showing that electric vehicles could be far more efficient on certain routes than combustion engines. So, Madam Speaker, you know, if you have a route taxi, for example, and you're doing a round town route, that's perfect for an electric vehicle. First of all, it's no gas. There's really no maintenance. Right? So if
Yeah,
you
they have
think
them here.
that this is something that you would want to
You just have to charge it like a cell
investigate,
phone.
then the DBJ will set up this window for you to change out your fleet into electric. Now, Madam Speaker, during the pandemic, Minister Matthew Samuda from the upper house is in the chamber, and during the pandemic, I tasked him with creating this program called ENDS. This was when everybody was in lockdown and
Yeah, I posted that
needed
live
food and
with the electric.
other supplies.
Yeah, I
and we
posted
made a
that.
special provision where motorbikes could help with delivery. So it was creating what we call the delivery economy. So, Madam Speaker, that industry which we literally created during COVID is now a major industry. I mean, when you see them, Madam Speaker, you see them all around.
We have them here.
I'm not telling you that I'm pleased with all of them. Some of the riding that I'm seeing, you know, I really hope that they get tickets because they are endangering themselves, but general public. But there are those businesses who have gone to great extremes to ensure that their riders are properly geared up for safety and that they ride decently. Now, Madam Speaker, we are also willing to extend to those companies that are in the delivery business using motorbikes this facility if they would want to change out their motorbikes to electric motorbikes.
Yeah, we do that here in America. In America, they do that too. Electric.
Madam Speaker, I well understand the culture of motorbikes. You know, what is the CB 100? Right? That was in our time. Nowadays it's the yang yang. And Madam Speaker, I don't understand the noise part of it. I can understand the bike part of it, but I don't understand why you would want the entire world to know you're coming. I can't understand it, but you're in church and you hear this terrible noise passing. It's a culture that we need to have a conversation with those young men. That, you know, this is, first of all, it is polluting. Noise is a pollution, is a pollutant. It is emitting, you know, polluting chemicals into the air. Madam Speaker, it is a nuisance. But when I heard the news of, I was at CARICOM at the time, in a CARICOM meeting, of 5 young men perishing in a motorcycle accident. It caused the entire society to reflect on this and say, what can we do to encourage these young men to change behavior? We're not going to be able to police every single young man who wants to ride a bike. But if we can reach to his mind for him to start to think differently, then we can get a societal change, which is what we want. Which is why we are providing the helmets, which is why we are providing the incentives to change from these combustion engine bikes into electric bikes. We are not saying that you shouldn't ride bikes. That's, you know, if that's your preference, that's your preference. But you should do it responsibly and safely. So, Madam Speaker, I think these incentives are very useful for the transport sector. And Madam Speaker, this is not about trying to, as one member said, to friend up taxi drivers. Let me give you a little history about myself, Madam Speaker. I owned a taxi business at one point in time. I have many friends in the taxi industry. I know the business very well. And I know, Madam Speaker, that there are many taxi men, many, who have sent their children to university, built their homes out of it. They take it seriously. Madam Speaker, you know there are some people who say, I will never take another taxi man except this one. Because this is my taxi man. He comes to me every morning on time, he picks me up, I can call him. And that's the kind of relationship that people have with their taxi drivers and operators. But Madam Speaker, there are some that, the only thing you can say is that they're a terror on the road. And what we are saying is, let's use this as an opportunity to kind of reset in the minds of the public how we feel about taxi operators and taxi drivers. Let's start a new era of relationship. Let's bring the taxi industry into the formal sector of the economy. Let's give them support. Let's work with them to ensure that, Madam Speaker, they themselves become the greatest defender of order and discipline in the industry.
Beyond 7:30.
Okay, guys, that's it. I'll see you tomorrow. He's not talking about the cash thingy. The way you call it. That's what I wanted to hear about, the cashless thing.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank everyone for their patience. I can tell you that the conditions inside the chamber are not the best. But Madam Speaker, as I attempted to say earlier, nothing is going to break our stride.